What is the reason why the forehand requires the most attention in tennis? In 2012, Nadal set a record with 412 forehand strokes in a 5-set match, while the average number of forehands for professional players ranges from 150 to 400. According to ATP Big Data Analysis, the average professional player uses forehands 1.5 to 2 times more than backhands. The frequency of forehands is used as a key indicator of strategy, as well as for predicting player fatigue and win rates. Just like professional players practice 3 to 5 times more than a match with daily training of about 800 to 1500 repetitions, the forehand is the most important indicator in tennis. In the 2007 Shanghai Masters Cup, there was a shocking match where Roger Federer, who was ranked first at the time, was dealt a blow. The protagonist of that shock was none other than Chilean player Fernando Gonzalez. In this match, the first set was relatively easily taken by Federer with a score of 6-3, as most had expected. Federer created a decisive point with a deep left shot followed by a net rush, taking the first set in just 29 minutes. In the second set, Gonzalez's extreme forehand began to shine, troubling Federer and winning the set 7-1 in the tiebreak. The forehand that came from an extreme takeback became a decisive shot whenever needed, and Federer, burdened by the need to avoid giving balls to Gonzalez's forehand side, often left openings on his own forehand side, resulting in counterattacks. If Federer's forehand averages around 130-150 km/h, Gonzalez's forehand average speed is 160-170
For reference,
km/h. Considering Alcaraz's forehand speed is around 150-160 km/h, Gonzalez's forehand is extreme. In the early stages of the third set, even under breakpoint pressure, Gonzalez's forehand strikes the corners powerfully to escape the crisis, covering Federer's decisive shot with Gonzalez's quick reflexes and defense, ultimately leading to a scene where Federer makes a mistake. However, the world number 1 Federer slows down the heated atmosphere created by Gonzalez, clearly adjusting his tempo to a slower pace. When Gonzalez heats up the atmosphere, Federer responds with a delayed tempo, chasing him down. Gonzalez decisively creates a winning shot with a strong forehand, taking full advantage of Federer's stable connection in a 5-5 situation. When Federer is startled and his first serve doesn't go in, Gonzalez now openly turns around and crushes Federer's second serve with an extreme forehand. Then he quickly widens the distance with another forehand and successfully breaks with a net rush. The TV commentator can't hide his excitement, saying, "We are witnessing a defeat against a faceless player." In the end, Gonzalez shocked the world by defeating the then world number 1 Roger Federer with a score of 7-5, as Federer's forehand made a mistake. It was clear to everyone that Gonzalez's powerful forehand was working hard, either putting pressure on his opponent or helping him escape from crises. Fernando Gonzalez, who is 1 year older than Federer, born in 1980 and from Chile, can be seen as the opposite player to Federer. He has a very large takeback and employs a hitting style that gives a deep angle to his elbow. Unlike Federer, he focuses on explosive power rather than the finesse of his forehand. The opponent's weaknesses and the aggressive flow that swept through them made them arguably the best player at the time. Additionally, Gonzalez won against Djokovic with a set score of 2-1 at the 2005 Cincinnati tournament, and he also achieved a complete victory over Rafael Nadal with a set score of 3-0 in the quarterfinals of the 2007 Australian Open. Of course, it's a one-dimensional aspect, but Gonzalez's forehand suggests a lot. At 183 centimeters and 82 kilograms, his physique may not be considered large, yet he finished with a top ranking of 5, 11 career titles, 3 doubles titles, and a win rate of 64.6%. It's true that Gonzalez's extreme forehand predates the Big Three era, but it is indeed a remarkable weapon capable of defeating all 3 of them. So, how should we view Gonzalez's extreme forehand as amateur players? There are hardly any players in modern tennis who use a large takeback for their forehand. You can hardly see it in players like Jannik Sinner, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Medvedev. Perhaps during the 90s and early 2000s, when rackets were heavier, there were many players who used a large takeback. The players would have used heavier rackets. You can clearly see that the weight of rackets is very different from now. However, due to advancements in rackets, they can now easily send light yet solid balls, making a large takeback naturally less efficient. On the contrary, there is a trend for the takeback to become smaller or more streamlined for faster spins. In other words, while a large takeback is no longer necessary for modern players' forehands, it serves as a strong motivation to emphasize the importance of the forehand. For players, the reason to emphasize the forehand to an extreme extent is that it creates decisive shots. and strong, deep forehands naturally lead to good volleys. Previously, I emphasized having over 70% of your shots as forehands. So, what are the advantages of an extreme forehand? First, it builds confidence in decisive shots. In situations you create yourself, decisive shots are full of confidence. When you are overflowing with confidence, the chances of making mistakes decrease, increasing the likelihood of becoming the winner of the game that day. Secondly, you can secure a position without giving up in a short period of time. It is one of the sports with many dropouts in less than 2 years, like tennis. The reason is that it takes time to be fun, so one might lose interest in the middle. However, if you equip an extreme forehand, you can endure with just this one, and since it comes with self-satisfaction, it becomes harder to give up halfway. Thirdly, you can quickly escape being a complete beginner. After all, there are many constraints such as time limits, environmental limits, and relative limits. For those aiming to become professional players, a procedural approach is the standard and fundamental. But for regular enthusiasts, prioritizing the effectiveness and enjoyment of exercise is essential to maintain it as a lifelong activity. Fourthly, it is a shortcut to advancing to intermediate or higher levels. This is because it is the most important position in a tennis game and the technique that produces the most decisive shots. As seen in the match between Gonzalez and Federer, even if someone is slightly inexperienced, it is common for them to win the game by pushing with their forehand. It is often the case that a player with an extremely good forehand can overpower a player with many years of experience. Of course, this is just one aspect of the situation. This means that the forehand is that important. So, what is the best way to improve your forehand? First, practice swinging without hitting the ball. Especially for those with less than 2 years of experience, practicing a lot is the best. However, we need to improve accuracy in actions and understanding. In table tennis, practice swinging without hitting the ball repeatedly while looking in the mirror. Golf also involves endlessly practicing swing motions in front of a mirror. A golfer said, "I practice my swing even in my dreams." In tennis, the more you practice swing motions endlessly, the better it is. At home, it's about the towel drill I emphasized earlier, and outside or on the court, it's about endlessly practicing swings with a racket. The players all have beautiful, concise, and even stylish swing movements. You must finish slowly and accurately. It's not good to just whip it around carelessly. It's better to swing slowly and gradually increase your speed. It's best to relax your shoulders and arms as much as possible and swing smoothly. The methods are first, after a split step, swing 100 times from a shoulder width stance. Second, swing 100 times while stepping forward with your left foot from the same spot. Third, swing 100 times while stepping back with your right foot from the same spot. Fourth, swing back and forth continuously 100 times from the same spot. On the court, it's good to rally with forehands only in the serve zone. It's best to send the ball as slowly as possible and at a height twice that of the net. Here, the split step is fundamental, and you should try to perform the movements as accurately and beautifully as possible. On a full court, I send the ball at twice the height of the net while slowly keeping my form in mind and swinging. Hitting quickly is something that naturally gets resolved over time. As I emphasized before, striving for a beautiful form is the essence and completion of the technique. Let's start by practicing this for 3 months. You will see it grow fun along with rapid growth. Please send out a subscription today as well.